Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to Invitation to a Conversation. My guest today is my returning guest every quarter, City Manager Regina McDuffie. Good afternoon, Miss McDuffie. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon to you.
It's good seeing you again. So when you come on every quarter for those who's on watching, who's watching now, you come on every quarter to give an update of what's going on in the city, what has changed, what is going to come in new developments. So can you start off and let me know what's going on in the city of Brunswick?
Well, there's a lot of things that are happening right now. Just a lot going on. We just entered our new budget year, of course, in July. We're now collecting SPLOS funds for our capital project improvements. So we are, steadily waiting for that money to come in. But we have started some projects already. We have a drainage project over on Macon and Talmadge, which will have, a significant impact on that area of the community and hopefully alleviate some of the drainage and water problems that we've had in the past. We also have some transportation projects going on right at the intersection of Highway 17 and Gloucester. We are widening that intersection so that there will be two turn lanes out from Gloucester to Highway 17, which hopefully will alleviate some of the traffic that's caused when Glen Middle School lets out, or in the morning when Glen Middle School is, coming in. So there's also some improvements right there at the Lanier Gloucester intersection as well. And those were supposedly going to be completed before school started, but time flies. They've had some weather delays, and there's always something that kind of keeps the project from being exactly as planned. So they're hopeful not to impact the school schedule too much. A lot of the work will be done at night, so they will try and lessen that impact as much as possible. um, you
When you
know
said when you said Malcolm, Macon, and Talbridge, can you tell those the people who are listening where that is at so they can be familiarize themselves with that area?
That's right by the McDonald's and the Popeyes that's not open. Right, that street that goes in between those two businesses, and the area that that outfall kind of is the full area west of there, where all of the water in that area will be draining out from.
So it's the it's between McDonald's and Popeyes on 17.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And transportation, what are we looking at as far as transportation? I know we tried transportation twice so far since I lived down here. And are we looking at smaller size buses opposed to the full size buses like Savannah has?
Well, we are looking at putting in a public transportation system. We are currently developing an RFP so that we can determine, what that system will entail. What we envision is a on-demand type public system that would be similar to an Uber Lyft type system, but it would have shared rides. The vans are going to be 5 to 7 passenger vans, so they will be smaller than buses, but they will be more than 1 to 2 passenger van um,
One,
vehicles. So
two. Have y'all figured out in what vicinity that these buses will run and what time of day on weekdays and weekends?
all of it hasn't been mapped out in terms of the times of day, but the area will encompass all of the city of Brunswick, all of our city limits, and up to the area to the north as far as the gate at Flexi, and also to the west to some of the exits where the hotels are located. I think exit 38 and 36. And then over to St. Simon's, there will be a route that goes there. It won't be the same as the other routes, but it will be a route that we hope to support the businesses, hotels and restaurants by providing, morning, afternoon, evening shift type transportation. So that's kind of what we're looking at. The weekdays time frames we haven't established um, fully, and then the weekends we are not sure as well. So it would be mostly weekdays. If we could incorporate the weekends with the and keep it within a certain budget that we have looked at, then we probably will do that. But it will be based on proposals that are submitted to the city, and we are working to develop that RFP right now.
Okay. Have y'all decided on the cost of each of the rides?
No, that we have talked about $2 to $5. $2 probably. We are looking at some other places that $2 is the ride, and then a dollar, extra for ride share or for a second person that's going to similar location. But we are not sure at this point, what will be feasible and what will be sufficient to support, the operation that we have planned.
Right. And I know that some other states have low income, I mean, not low income, have low reduced fares or no fares at all for seniors. So do you think that's something that we will implement here?
We certainly will look at all aspects of, how we can accommodate people who, may be challenged in terms of the cost of riding. And so we haven't necessarily made those determinations, but we are looking at, again, other places and how they accommodate people who are, severely economically stressed and I guess on a fixed income.
And I know that I was recently traveling, and I was on public transportations, and on each side of the bus they have like three seats that's just for people that are wheelchair bound or handicapped, or most of the time people of a certain age, seniors, sit to the front. And so that's just some ideals to kind of implement if that's something that y'all want to do, just to see if we
Well,
can have that.
the vans are that we're envisioning are not large enough to have multiple uh, disabled persons or passengers, but we will have vans that are designated for those purposes. And based on how it's planned, people will have to call in or dial in or use the app on their phone to reserve, and that way they will know, they will ask the question of whether they need assistance or are disabled, and so they'll know which vans to assign to those particular rides.
Okay, thank you. What's next going on in the city?
Well, again, we just have a lot of things going on right now. Of course, the homeless problem is a big issue that the city is trying to resolve. We are, have several different situations that has arose that have, we are trying to mitigate. We are going through a legal process on both of those, which, it's challenging when it takes a lot of time to address it through the legal process, but that's the way the city has to do it. We can't go in and just shut down a business. We can't go in and just stop things on private properties, just directly. We can cite for violations and have them go through the court system, which is what we are doing right now. I know the community, it has to, they get frustrated because of the time that it takes to get some things done, but we have to stay within the parameters that we have to operate in. So, and that's what we do. In terms of housing, we are looking at developing a housing program for the city where we are working with local contractors and developers to try and put some housing in place, not only for low income, moderate income, try and put together some affordable and what we would call deeply affordable housing, as well as looking at market rate housing, which we feel like we need to, just provide housing for the community, not only for low to moderate income, but for people who are moving from other areas who want market rate housing. We have to have all types of housing in the community, and that's what we're working to support.
So I have two follow-up questions, one for the homeless and one for this city development. So is the city continue, are we going to continue to do the apartment type homes, townhouses homes, or are we going to do singular family homes?
Well, the city, we're looking at any type of housing that, we can find people to partner or develop. I mean, we need all types of housing. There's no limit on the housing that's needed in this community. We need big homes. We need small homes. We need single family. We need apartments. We need housing in this community. There's no housing, affordable. There's not any great market rate housing. We need all kinds of housing. If we're going to grow this community, we can't just have, low income housing. We have to have market rate housing. And, we need all kinds of housing. So there's no limit in terms of apartment complexes, townhouses. I would say all of the above.
And so right now, most of the renovations or the remodeling or construction of houses or apartments that we see going on now, like around Chapel Crossing, that's all in the county and not the city.
Most of that is in the county. There's a lot of growth and a lot of building and build out in the county, and they have the space to build housing. In the city, it's more of a reconstruction, redevelopment, looking at, lots that have become vacant, dilapidated properties. And again, we run into a lot of issues with homes that are not owned, or they are owned by heirs. And then we have, a lot of rental properties where, we don't have control over that landlord of how they keep their house. We do have, our code enforcement, which is helping to make sure that the houses that are being rented are, up to a certain standard. But that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the challenges that we have. 64% of our community is rental property.
Mm-hmm.
And rental
Mm.
property is hard to manage when you have landlords who, they if they make an improvement, they are going to increase that rent for the person, and the person may not want their rent increase, so they don't want to, have that improvement done. So it's just a vicious cycle of trying to get people to upgrade the standards of living and the standards of homes, and still have people, be able to afford the housing.
And I wonder if we can implement, I guess, the government or the housing people, if they could, if they're going to do some upgrade and somebody is already living in their house and it's a rental property, they could increase the rent when they move out, because I've heard a lot of people in the community say that their rent has gone up over $100. Every year it's going up over $100, and so we really do have to get a grip on that. To the homeless housing situation, is there any? What is the process of y'all going through to settle it? I think I read in the paper something where the city would be implementing in some way of how it's run. And do you think that it would be better to remodel where it is and bring it up to current standards of how other shelters run, like Goodwill or Salvation Army, for the homeless people that they keep?
Are you speaking to the well? Is that what
Yes,
you're asking?
yes, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, again, we are looking at, there has been legal action taken in regards to the well because of, the difficulties that it has had in the past. Oops.
You're still here.
Oh, my computer just blinked out. Okay,
Oh,
so sorry.
that's
But
okay. As to
yeah,
see.
the we are still looking at, wanting them to comply with what the city has requested in terms of, going through the process of a conditional use permit for the current location of that property. I don't think it's necessarily the building, that's the issue. It's the location and it's the operation. So we are still in negotiation, I would say, with them on whether or not that location is the proper location, and whether they will continue to operate in that facility.
And won't there be some changes as far as managing it to lessen the issues that go on? Because right now it's a day place, and they have to do a lot of their uh, washing of their clothes other places and things like that. And most of the reason why it caused the issue is because once it's closed on the day, they don't have anywhere to sleep. So are they trying to change the way they operate?
Well, they have never been an overnight shelter, so it's always been a day shelter. The sleeping part of it has not, I mean, it has increased, I think, over the last 2 years, because 2 years ago we didn't have the people sleeping outside of the well as we have in the recent past. So that has become an issue, but it is not an overnight shelter anyway, so that's problematic in itself. We don't have any real governance over their operations. We have to look at their impact to the community. And right now, it's just been significantly, adverse impact to the surrounding businesses and locations. And just having the people not transitioning, basically, they're just kind of, going back and forth and not moving in any direction to get themselves back stable into a better, um, more stable environment.
hmm Recently, the Mayor Johnson, sent out two new regulations or laws or whatever about the homeless people around the city, the way they solicit or where they sit. Do you know offhand what those two are for those who are not in the community and familiar with those new ones that
I'm
came
not
out?
sure what you're referring to. We put in an urban camping ordinance a while back that talked about camping in the community. And, it basically does not allow people to sleep openly in the community or set up camps or any, kind of permanency in locations. But I'm not familiar with anything other than that was put in place, but that was in place for since earlier in the year.
Okay, okay. Anything else, City Manager?
Well, we continue to try and make improvements downtown. We definitely are, working now to get our Christmas program in place. We will start, putting in those Christmas lighting soon, so that we'll be ready when the season start. And that schedule moves pretty quickly. We have a lot of different things that are going on. Our housing programs, we're continuing to do demolitions in the community. As you know, over by Manor House on MLK, we were able to take down those three properties that had burned and were causing issues with people being in and out of those properties. And we will continue to work around the community to take down houses that have been condemned. We are also looking at boarding up properties that are open so that they cannot be accessible and cannot be, drug havens and that kind of place and things. So we'll be working to hopefully board up more than 50 houses, or at least 50 houses during the fiscal year. We are also working on our comprehensive plan right now, which we have had two readings and a public hearing at our commission meeting. The final hearing will be done in a couple of weeks, where the plan will be, finalized for the upcoming 5-year period. So we have all of that going on, as well as working on finishing the splash pad over in Orange Park. We have the fitness court, which we'll do a dedication for soon, over in Goodyear Park. Our recreation administration is working hard to start up. We'll take over recreation as of September 5th. And then we'll, be providing programs. We won't provide football this fall, but we will start with the basketball, track, and other activities coming in the spring. So recreation will be back to the city, and we'll be soliciting, people in the community, not only for children's involvement, but for people, parents and others to volunteer to help with the recreation as the city grows its program. So
So
those are some of the things.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying those are some of the things that we have going on. Recreation is certainly one of the important areas that we want to promote, and people to get involved in. We want children, we want parents, we want to make it accessible for the people in the community. And that's a really important engagement that we have going forward. As you know, we've talked a lot in the past about our staffing levels in public works and public safety. I'm proud to say today that our fire department is fully staffed. We just got a new fire truck in, and it'll be being put online in the next couple of weeks. So that's a tremendous improvement to our fire department. We also are getting more police officers, and we're also looking at to implement a license plate reader system that we have. We received a grant from the governor's office for nearly $1 million, and we'll be implementing that particular system over the next couple of months. And we also want to incorporate a drone program into that police department system, where we'll have drone support for calls made to our police department. So that's something that we hope to implement as well, to help our police officers on the street, and to keep our citizens and our people safe. So we are
So
very proud of
so
those two
so
programs.
so the drones and the cameras will work interlocked together.
They're not necessarily, no, the license plate readers will be at specific locations, where if an activity or something happened, then the cameras would catch, cars going in and out of those areas, and the license plate readers would read those tags. And, again, if people have warrants, or if you have outstanding, violations or something like that, it will pick that up and send information to the police department. The drones actually is a program that we looked at, that we're looking at in another city here in Georgia, where we would have drones located in various places throughout the city. Whereas when a call would come in, let's say you have a burglary over at Big Lots, the drone would actually be able to be deployed immediately to go and surveil that area and pick up. And I guess you ask if it would work in conjunction. It could work in conjunction with the license plate, because once that drone gets there, it will see what cars and activity is going on. And if a car is, leaving that area, then it will be picked up by the license plate reader. So there may be some work in between those two. At least you have visibility, and then you have the cameras picking it up on the street. So it'll be a lot of surveillance. And what this does is provide not only support for the police, going out, but it also provides information to them before they get on scene, and it collects evidence, as it gets to the scene. So a
Okay.
lot of technology that we're going to put in place, but it will be to enhance the areas around the city. So, people coming into the city thinking they can get away with something, we're hoping to catch them and, deter that kind of activity.
Since the last time you've been on, what are some of the new businesses that have come to fruition in downtown Brunswick?
Well, there's been a wine shop that opened right down by Silver Bluff. There's been Skinny Pete's that opened. It's the restaurant. We have the Vampire Penguin. I don't know if it's open, but I think it's an ice cream or some type of shop. Um, what is it? Icy, or
I see, like a
something
water
like
ice, and it's called Vampire.
Vampire Penguin, I think the name of it is.
Okay.
So there's a few, smaller shops that are opening downtown. The
What
13,
about
the 1509 rooftop restaurant is open, and that one's really nice. Got a great environment, great view downtown. So yeah, just a number of places that have opened.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you, City Manager. Is it anything that I didn't ask that you know of that's happening in the city of Brunswick? And what? So when you talked about the splash, let me go back for a second. When you talked about the splash, and you talked about those capital projects, when the splash money comes in, that's where that money is going to be allocated to.
Well, we can't spend it before we get it. So we have to
Right.
wait until the money comes in. It comes in about, monthly, and it started in April. We got our first check in May. So it's going to come in based on our estimates right now. We'll get about $7 million a year. So based on that, from the beginning, of April, until the end of the year, we will collect upwards of $4.5 million this year. And we have already started some of the projects. We do have an allocation schedule, but I've been trying to make sure we have everything included in it, so that the money, can be spent in a timely manner, and the projects can, kind of be smoothly implemented. So we are working to set that schedule so that we'll know what money's coming in and what money's going out, and what projects, are ready to be done, and what can be done, so that the money can be spent properly.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. Well, the time is going. It's almost the school season next week. School is
Yeah.
opening. How is the city preparing for that? Is it any new changes or anything going around the city for the school year?
Well, our recreation program will be starting up. They'll be, having some programs, that'll help with the school system, activities. But other than that, we just want to make sure that we keep our roads clean, safe, and prepared for school traffic as it starts back up.
How is the hurricane? Are you from up to date with the hurricane preparedness? How is that going?
Yes, we are actually, we have a new person, EMA coordinator that we hired in our fire department, who's working with our hurricane preparedness. He's, getting out into the community. He will be visiting, various locations. We'll be working with the MPAs and with the public housing. Certainly, we want to make sure that we are working with public housing as well. And so there's a lot going on in terms of our preparedness for hurricanes, and hoping that, we can be ready whenever that weather event comes about.
Right. Will the MPAs, the different MPAs in the city, get some of those hurricane preparedness bags, or do we have to still go down there and pick them up? Will they bring it to our meetings, or do we have to go get them?
I don't know who's actually or where they're distributing those. I'm not sure. So that would probably be a question for EMA. I think that they are, there's a local nonprofit that's actually giving those out. I don't think they're directly from the city, but I
Okay.
don't know if we'll have, ones that will go out to the MPAs.
Okay. Well, thank you, Miss McDuffie. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, the only thing is, I really want to find out more about the public housing and what's going on with the, directorship and everything that's happening over there, because we really want to partner with public housing when we start looking at our housing programs, and what we can do to, help people, if they are transitioning from public housing into home ownership and things like that. So I am very interested, have been working closely with the land bank, and really want to make sure that we put a comprehensive housing program together.
Yes, well, as you know, we have recently retained a interim ED who's doing very well, picking up to where we left off with the HUD report that many people in the city of Brunswick is aware of. And so we will, I'm having a meeting with her that sometime this week. And so hopefully she will go to have a message for the Brunswick News to let the public know where we're standing at with that. And I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to say anything, because those are her notes. And we'll get those together and she can give us an update of where we at with the HUD report. We just had a Section 8 opening on July the 7th for public housing, and that's closed. And we had like over 1,000 applicants. And
Really?
so, yes. And so we are doing some renovations to Brooklyn homes. We are remodeling the bathrooms down there, and we are remodeling the 6 burnt units that were in Mercer, Alabama. And so we're moving along. We have done a lot, and we're seeing the end of the tunnel. We're not there yet, but we still have a lot to do. And we're in the process of using a local hiring company to look for a permanent ED. So we're in the midst of doing those things right now. And so we just got finished having our presentation for people in the city who wanted to partner with us, different organizations that are in line with our mission of how we want to move the residents forward so they can get better income, job skills, good information on their resume, and help them into home ownership for those who want it, and for those who want to rent. And so they won't have to come back into public housing. We are just have a program called Job Plus that starts no, the Ross program starts in August. And so we have a residential director department that will have all of those things. And we do, if you go to our Brunswick Housing Authority website, that is updated frequently for all of the things that we are promoting and how we are helping the residents. We also have a newsletter that comes out every month. Do you get one? They should be going out electronically to all the different. Did you get one
No,
for July?
no, I don't get newsletters from the Housing Authority. Now, I need to look in my junk mail and see if it may have been diverted or something, but I don't recall getting a newsletter.
Okay. And anytime, so let me say this down to those who are listening who works in the city. If you don't get a newsletter, give me a call and let me know, because I do work along with the residential director on that newsletter. And everyone in the city should be getting that electronically through email or the paper type. It just depends on which one you want. And so I'm glad we brought that up. And so housing authority is is a whole new conversation on its own. But thank you for that question. Hmm.
Thank you. Well,
Yes.
you have a blessed afternoon, and thank you for, what you do as far as your time and energy in this community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't get on any board that I don't think that I can make a significant impact on. And plus, I've picked very closely the boards that I do want to serve on so I can give my all. So thank you for recognizing what I do. Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right.
And, and until next quarter, you have a blessed day and a blessed
Thank you.
season.
You
You're
too.
welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.